What's up, everybody? Welcome to another exciting edition of Beyond the Message. Mike, I don't know how many this is, but I'm really fired up about the season that we're in. Thanks so much for tuning in to our podcast this week, wherever you're at, driving down the road. You know what? Thanks for just giving us some encouragement, man. People are showing a lot of love about podcasts. You know, we all are into podcasts these days. Such a great format just to listen. And so this week I got Pastor Mike with me. Mike,
how's it going, everybody?
What's up, Mike? And I got my daughter. Wednesday night she was Miranda Freeman, but she really is Miranda Montgomery. What's up, Miranda?
Hello.
Miranda is excited to be a part of the podcast. She actually did announcements this week, and if you were listening to the service, she really wants to do them to honor her grandmother who passed away, and you killed it. You did a great job. You got better as the week went on, for sure. So, guys, we're in a series called Faith and Life Collide, and this was a week that I had been looking forward to. And Miranda, Mike, I want your take on it, but when you give me the life-size dominoes on the stage and you get me in the book of Haggai, I kind of went off a little bit. So, Mike, we'll start with you. Basically, this came from the series The Domino Effect. I said it was probably one of the most underrated that we had done because of the COVID era in 2020. And I love the idea of a chain reaction, that we can be a part of something. And, you know, it can go negative or positive. I try to go positive with it, that even though we're individually pretty small, together we can make a big impact. You've heard me preach that before. What's your take on that? Because I just love that idea. I think that's visually like, man, I can get it. There's a lot of application. What do you think?
Yeah, well, number one, I don't know how you didn't have Scott come up there about 4 or 5 times each service. You know, I mean, twice was one thing.
It's just kind of tedious.
Yeah, do it again, do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
But I said it going into the message this weekend. I love that illustration just because it is very powerful when you visually see that teeny tiny first little, it's not even a domino. I mean, it's like
a miniature domino.
Yeah, it's like
literally just it's very
It
small.
is tiny. And when you see that take down something that large, that is encouraging, that is inspiring. And you talked about this leading into the message this week of just how when we did the domino effect before, it was really a negative slant on things. And this week was more of a positive approach to using that same idea that, man, if we would just commit and we would get the little things right, the impact could be beyond our wildest imagination. And, you know, and I think that it's a perfect marriage with this particular chapter, because you see, as you begin to read, the Bible lays it out. They were working, they were doing all the things that they thought they should be doing, but yet the Bible says it over and over, hey, their efforts were in vain because they didn't have God's blessing. And I think that's the key in this for us today, is just understanding, hey, yeah, we are little. And if you don't believe that, go board an airplane and look out from 30,000 feet. You are insignificant in the grand scheme of things.
Is everybody encouraged?
But you're not insignificant to God. And when you have God's blessing on your life, what is possible is unbelievable.
It just shows me the power of the church, but you got to move.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. The dominoes got to move. You can't just stare at that. All right, Miranda, I'm on pins and needles. You sat on the front or second row, right? What was your overall take walking out of the message? Yes, you helped this week do announcements, and a big part of those announcements were getting people to serve. And so you kind of emphasize children's ministry. That's what you're a part of. I know your prayer was, Dad, say something to help us get some volunteers, because volunteers are getting harder and harder to find. A lot of people just are sitting it out for whatever reason. What was your take on the message? Because you were pretty fired up walking out of it. You're like, Dad, I mean, this is a
great message. I was like, I said, I don't know if I'm supposed to even say this. I told you that in the green room yesterday. I said, if you don't sign up to serve this week, then you need to go to altar, because that was just, and I thought it was
say it by all means, girl.
But I loved the dominoes too, where you also said that we're not the biggest domino, that we need to stay in the middle and we need to stay in the fight. We're not going to be the best right now. We have a long way to go. This church is the best is yet to come, and we're not there yet.
You know what? I woke up a couple nights ago because I knew I was going to do that, and I thought, where are we in that timeline? Right. I just think that was where is the church, the impact of the church? And you hope it's still one of the small ones. Yeah. And you don't hope after 30 years. I mean, we've seen amazing things.
Yeah.
Are we the largest domino? Is this it? Is it going to be now we're going to plateau and die because nobody wants to move? And we could be that generation. And that's why we're in the book of Haggai. We were last week, chapter 1. Again, It was a deer in headlights for some people because I'm so fired up about that book, and people are like, Haggai, I don't even know where that is. But the idea of Haggai, a prophet, getting people to move because they came back and they just lost the power and presence of God. Right. They did not rebuild the temple. They got in their own lives and they forgot about priorities that matter. And I mean, Lord have mercy, if that's not us today, I don't know. I mean, that's just such a great analogy. And so for me, you know, I'm pretty fired up. I just got the text a while ago of how many people even signed up for our 7 days of prayer. We're in day 2 of our 7 days of prayer as we record this podcast. And, you know, you're hoping for more than 20% because we talked about the Pareto principle, right, which is, I mean, that's human nature. 20% of the people do 80% of the work. It's across the board. It's always that way. And right now we're at 1,000 people of our church of, let's just say regular attenders and, our online campus. So let's go 4,000. We're at 25%.
Yeah.
Think of that. I mean, 25%. That probably represents a little more than that because kids are not signing up.
Right.
You know, so if you look at adults, it's still maybe 30. So I'm like, yeah, we're like beyond that just 20%. And man, if we can get even a few more than that, really, hey, you know what? I want to serve. I want to pray. I want to do all those things. I mean, we can be a part of a chain reaction, you know, and that's the kind of the way I worded it. We can be a part of God's plan to create a chain reaction to see great impact, but we can also stop that chain reaction. Mm-hmm. It's like the pay it forward at Taco Bell. You know, it's one of those things. So we talked about distractions. Miranda, what do you think in a world that you live in today? Distractions are everywhere. Do you struggle with distractions? I know you have a little girl. She's crazy. My granddaughter's amazing. It's easy to get distracted. And how much do you think of the sermon? I mean, I'm your dad. I preach, but just be honest. Nobody here but us on the podcast. It's easy to get distracted, right?
Yeah, very easy, especially with social media, and you got your phone in your hand at all times. And
you have your phone in your hand at all times. Yes.
Yes, but I don't like that. Distractions get in the way, and instead turn on a podcast, and instead of listening to something on your phone, listen to the Beyond the Message. Listen to what I listen to Sadie Robertson all the time. Find a good Christian podcast that instead of listening to
Sadie. If you're listening, there's your shameless plug.
From Heather last week, what Candace? Let's get Sadie.
Sadie, I got you. Mike, what do you think? I mean, catch-22 is we have a lot of people online, and yet we demonize on. I mean, it's all priorities. It's where you want it to be, but distractions are everywhere.
Everybody's distracted. If you try to play the game and say that you're not, you're lying to yourself. Even when I think, hey, you know what? I've done the right things. I've been really focused today. It's like you could still sit there and go, man, it's like there were so many things that got in the way of what matters at times. For the Jewish people in this setting, they faced opposition that prevented them from doing what they were supposed to do. And so spiritually, they just walked away from that as a priority, walked away from rebuilding the temple, and got focused in on selfish things, got focused in on being more comfortable. And that is absolutely what all of us do today is man, we will make excuses. We will go searching for opposition to our spiritual lives. We'll go, well, I just don't really have the time to read the Bible today, but I have plenty of time to sit here for the next 5 hours and watch pointless videos on YouTube about things that I care nothing about.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've said it before. I got sucked somehow down the YouTube wormhole watching somebody repair traffic lights one time. I'm like, where did this come from? So we got to be very careful because we can look at what we read in Haggai and go, oh, man, those horrible people, how did they get this so wrong? We do the same thing all day, every day. We will allow those things to distract us from what should matter. We say this all the time, but yet rarely do things change when you tell people, hey, we all have 24 hours in a day. We all have choices to make.
People do what they want to do.
Exactly.
You said yesterday. You do what you want to do. If you get your heart set, you can do it.
You could feel the pin drop.
Oh, I could just imagine from your perspective.
First off, let's settle the debate because I always say, is it Haggai or Haggai?
I've said it both ways.
All I know is the Bible is so real, and it's Hag-A-I at the end of AI.
There you go.
How about that? You know what you just said a while ago, though? It is absolutely amazing human nature.
Yeah.
People are people. Yeah. No matter back in that day.
It's the same battle.
Or today. It's all about I mean, we don't really see, you know, and I got Haggai or Haggai chapter 1 in front of me. The opposition was themselves. They just got back and they were overwhelmed. And so you turn inward. It's all about you. I hate to pick on Miranda's generation, but I mean, what do you feel? You're 31 or 30? 30.
I'm not there yet.
Do you feel like your generation, your brother for sure, it's very look out for themselves?
Definitely everybody's self-absorbed, and what I can do for myself. I don't care about you, but what can I do for myself? And I don't like that. I'm trying to not do that. I listen to things that try to.
You're definitely an old soul. I think you're the nostalgic one in our family. You love to do things for others. If I don't do Christmas the right way, you get mad at me. We've got to do it a certain way. But it is true. I mean, but I don't think, Mike, we can pick on her generation. I think we're just as bad. It's just everybody.
It just looks different.
It's everybody's self-agenda. And I hate being, I feel like I'm that pastor on the soapbox right here. But I mean, Haggai just brings about human nature that if you don't watch it, and this is the verse that I really could have just stayed on and camped out. And it's really chapter 1, verse 5, 6. This is what the Lord says, give careful thought to your ways. You've planted much but harvested little. You eat but you never have enough. You drink, but you're never full. You put on clothes, they're not warm. You earn wages, put them in a purse with holes in it. It's just like if you're not looking at the right things, you'll never find what you're looking for. And to me, that is the nature of our lives. How many people have we talked to that's their life today? It's not enough. It's not enough. Miranda, your generation, you're bad about that. I got one Louis Vuitton, I got to have 4. I mean, it's not enough. I look at your husband. I think Houston, he's got a lot going on, but it's like I got to keep going. And I'm the same way. It's always what's next? What's enough? What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that like you said too, that you said before we just started talking about Charlie Kirk more and more because of his assassination. But you said Haggai was the first Charlie Kirk here to tell you to move, to tell you to get married, have kids, go to church, keep church a priority. That's what you were saying.
Well, people, and this is a great discipleship podcast. That's the way I look at this. People are always like, well, what does the book really mean? What is it really saying? And all Haggai, if you look at it, I broke it down. It's a book about priorities. It's to recalibrate priorities. If you're going to put God first, give careful thought to your ways. How many times does it say that? Put God first. They were supposed to rebuild the temple. What does that mean? To put the power and presence of God back in a nation.
Yeah.
We are supposed to do the same thing. That's why I brought Charlie Kirk up. Because that's honestly, he kind of blurred those lines of nationalism with Christianity, and we feel the same way. I mean, hey, as we follow Christ, we want our nation to follow Christ.
Yeah.
And he just reprioritize, make sure that we're thinking biblical things. That shouldn't be controversial, but I guess it is. Make sure that we put God first. Go to church. Build a family. All these things that matter. It's reprioritizing things if you want to see some things in life that really matter.
Well, if you want to see God move, like our song, that song is incredible that we sang this week. And I said, well, sign up for the 7 days of prayer. Pray every day. Be at our praise and worship night. Serve. I swear you'll see God move if you put all those things first in your life instead of this phone and distractions that we all do and I do, but we got to work better at it. So.
I think really for us, accustomed to the ruins of our life, and that's what we talked about, and that's what they did. They just got accustomed to the ruins. It went too long, and they just were like, it is what it is, and then to focus on themselves. But then, Mike, I talked about resisting sacrifice. It's like they got back, and after a while, they're like, we're good. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of people like that. We're good. We don't need to do anything anymore. And it drives me crazy. And I got a little angry. I mean, I think people could feel my passion this week. I actually put a hole in one of the dominoes. It's just the resisting sacrifice of people in particular that follow Christ and have been around a while, and then they start to sit it out.
Yeah.
And they don't read the Bible and go, wait, that's me.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, I
call people out. No, I'm just kidding. No.
All right. I'd like to start in alphabetical order. Now, it's a perfect tie-in with the story of the preacher's wife and the dream, going back to that idea. For the Christian person who maybe was sold out, committed, on fire, doing the right things, that got comfortable, sometimes I think it's just a matter of we see God move, we see something incredible happen, and sometimes, there's we get focused on the wrong things or whatever. But I think sometimes it's almost the fact that God has moved that derails people, because you look at the history of Pathways so far, and like you said, the things that we have seen God accomplish in the life of this church from nothing to where we are today.
It's amazing. I mean, it's a miracle.
Yeah. But so when you're walking that road, it's easy to, if you're not careful, get to a place where you go, well, God has done something incredible. And it's hard to wrap your mind around how this could possibly go to a better, bigger place, how it could be more effective, any of that. And so I think a lot of people easily fall into that trap, for one. But then, of course, laziness also sets in. It's like when you feel like, hey, I've been in this fight, I've done what I'm supposed to do, I've seen results, we've seen God do things, it's easy to look to somebody else or even the next generation and say, hey, it's your turn and I'm going to punch my card out because I did my part, when, as the saying goes, if you ain't dead, you ain't done,
Amen,
and so
brother.
we have to keep going. But that is a hard thing to sustain if spiritually you're not super focused, super intentional on your prayer life, reading God's word, and seeking that every single day. I think of something that Pastor Pat used to say all the time. And as we all know, I mean, she probably forgot more about the Bible than, most people will ever learn.
For sure.
But I'd go in her office and she would say, I was reading such and such book today. And she's like, I've probably read that 50 times. She's like, and I cannot even begin to tell you. She's like, I don't know how I missed that before. I don't know how I didn't see that before. And it's just, and you would see that excitement in her after all those years of being a Christian and being in ministry. But most of us, we lose that because familiarity sets in and we go, you know what? I've done this, and I think we got to be very, very careful of that trap.
What do you think, Murr?
You said too also that you may not be the pastor that does the biggest things in this church, and the best pastor may be in Kids 22-6, and we can train them up in the next generation over there. So you serve, and you have no idea the impact that you could be making for the future just by serving in Kids 22-6 that way.
Hey, man, if God doesn't come back, I fully believe that. I mean, I do look, my friend, Pastor Dan at First Baptist, 215 years old. When they started, they would have never thought in that early generation, look where they are today and the influence that they've all through the years. I just think it's interesting, right? I bring it up, but I didn't bring it up enough. A true biography, typically we read it and we're riveted because it typically goes, wow, they had nothing. Right. Something major happened. They sacrificed. They saw amazing things. Then they lived happily ever after. Yeah. But that is not the way it's intended in God's house, in God's word. It's sacrificing again and again. You link it together. You eat and you're never full. You drink, it's never enough. You have holes in your pockets. Why? Because you've got to constantly fight. And that's kind of what I'm after this week, to focus in on what matters. And it's God's house, God's power and presence, and great things happen. When we focus on others, we take the focus off ourselves. Right. The depression goes down, anxiety goes down, all those things. We know that. But man, I think it's social media. We can blame whatever. But we live in the most meistic time that I've ever seen. Yeah. I mean, I got my son in trouble a little bit because one of the services I said, hey, he's saying some of these youth, man, they're weird. And what he meant by that is they're so on their phone. Yeah. Nothing stimulates them. Nothing like, wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, our youth staff, this is crazy to think about. They're trying to come up with a unique game to put into the life of the youth ministry every week.
Yeah.
I'm like, I had 3 games when I did the youth pastoring. And those 3, we just did it over and over and over. To kind of have that creativity is unbelievable. Yeah. And it's still not enough. It's the kid that goes to Disney and is bored out of their minds. Yeah. And you can almost feel that in church. It's like, well, we've seen it. We're not trying to be bigger and badder. Yeah. We're trying to grow in our faith and allow this generation to make a difference, be effective. Yeah. And you can almost feel it go over people's heads. And that's why I think you get me in the book of Haggai with life-size dominoes, and I'll start slinging them around. And I think I know they did. They're like, man, you had an edge about you. And I wanted to intentionally, because I really feel like we can't just get comfortable. People don't understand. It's not about growing to some bigger building or whatever. It's about being effective in ministry, and it affects our lives individually. It's God's power and presence day to day to day. And that's hard, because distractions are everywhere. Focused on ourselves is everywhere.
Charlie Kirk even said, nobody is more important where you can't put your phone down for one day. Even he said, and he was a very influential person, and he said he put his phone down one day a week, and nobody is more important to not be able to put their phone down just one day. So,
I mean, hey, you're listening to the podcast, and we're like, okay, well, what can I do? That is a great thing. Live on mission. I talked about that. We have got to live on mission. I think it's really important for us to exercise this on a daily basis, to look around and see the problems. Mm-hmm. How can we be an answer to a lot of people's questions in life and make that a priority? Now, I rolled down that road, and I know people get really mad when I'm like, well, I just don't have time. That's not true. Well, I can't give to, first off, you can't trust God with your giving. I'm a living example of that. No, I don't have, no, that's not true. People do
what they want to do. You told me my whole life.
Do you not see that every day?
Yeah, very true.
And actually, if George Hawkins is listening to this, because I know he went to the UT game, he actually texts me and goes, were you talking about me? I'm like, no, George, I was talking about another couple that was struggling to put food on the table, but I saw them on Facebook they drove up to the football game. What does that show us? People do what they want to do. In life, that's true. And if we're not going to choose to put God first, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Well, and I think, and you said it a minute ago, I think one of the important keys in this too is we have to maintain an eternal perspective. You alluded to it, that, we read the biography, and that's great. It's amazing what some people, the hardships that they go through, the challenges and what they can accomplish, and it's inspiring. But God's grand plan is bigger than any one life, like you said. And so that right there should really motivate us. It's not about, a couple chapters in our lives, but it's going, hey, this has got to be bigger than me. This has got to be, like you've said before, what legacy are we leaving for our kids, our grandkids, for the next generations to come? Where's Pathways going to be 250 years from now? What's your family dynamic going to look like 250 years from now? And I told you this, and I know you've got a similar background. We can look at family heritage and go, man, I've got a heritage of church planters and pastors and heavy influence in ministry. And I didn't even really realize that about my family going back that far until after I felt called into ministry. Like I looked at my grandparents and stuff, and I was like, wow, that's really inspiring the way they live. But I had no idea that my great-grandparents and my great-great-grandparents and so on and so forth, that was there. And so you think of, because of the life that they lived, they left a legacy in our family and all that. And so we have to be thinking individually in terms of our families, in terms of our communities, and of course, collectively as a church, what can we accomplish, not in our lifetime, but what can we accomplish 200, 300 years from now because of the influence that our life has on what comes after us.
It's funny that I would have written that down. That was the last part of the message. I don't think I really highlighted it that well. I said it's our watch.
Yeah.
It's not somebody else's.
Great way to put it.
And it's funny because you really wanted to do announcements. Your whole thing, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this to honor my grandmother because she would want me to do this to keep up. I'm the next generation.
Well, I felt like we've ate lunch together for 3 days a week for 10 years, and she poured so much into me. So when she passed away, there's a hole. I'm like, well, I'm going to let all that go to waste that she's poured in and taught me through all those years. But also, going back to what you just said a minute ago, and I love Pastor Matt's testimony because his family was not all pastors in the background, and he changed the trajectory of his family. You don't, just because you didn't have a pastor, you didn't go to church, you didn't live right, do the right things, you can change right today for the rest of your family.
He stopped the chain reaction.
I love that testimony.
A chain reaction of good.
That is.
Yeah. Bottom line is this, the whole idea, and I said it over and over. In church, we like inspiration and we like emotion, but we don't like to hear we got to work. And what work means is work. I was trying to be funny and no one laughed. But we got to work for the kingdom. Found people, find people. Saved people, serve people. Encouraged people, encourage people. And that's how I closed it. I wrote it down. It's our watch. We can be a part of a chain reaction to see big things happen for the kingdom of God, or we can stop it. We can be a part of stopping that chain reaction. Oh, yeah. And that keeps me up at night. It should keep us all up at night. Hey, thanks so much for listening, guys. It's been a great season in our church. Faith and life collide. Everything we said today, I can almost feel it just goes hand in hand. Yeah. The next 2 weeks are going to be really good. This week, everybody gets something. You come to church, you get something. And then we also take communion. But then we're closing down this series in a few weeks. And then we're going into a great season in November, some special things. And then Christmas, I think, is going to be really good. And 2026, He's moving in our church. I want everybody to be a part of that. Everybody pray today, lock in and say, God, how can you use me? Look around, see the problem, that God can put you in a situation that you could be Jesus to somebody that needs you in a desperate way. And it takes priorities and just sacrifice again and again and again. Miranda, you did good. You want to do it again?
Sure.
Good. Pastor Mike, you want to do it again? You will.
Sure, why not?
Love you guys. Have a great day. See you later.